more sustainable future. To officially open the program, may we invite everyone to please rise for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem and the doxology to be led by the PUP Bagong Himig Serenata.
Bayang magiliw, pero sa silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupi, di ka pasisiin, sa nagkakaroon sa simula sa lupa ng araw na walang ating pagsasyamoy natin sa iyo. Ang ligaya ay mamahal, nakapatay ng dahil sa iyo.
Thank you very much, PUP Bagong Himig Serenata. Once again, good morning everyone and welcome to the Government Industry Academy Summit 2025. To formally welcome us and to set the tone for our two-day summit, We are honored to have with us a leader whose guidance has continuously shaped our student-centered programs and initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Vice President for Students Affairs and Services, Professor Tomas O. Testor.
Maraming salamat, Mama Liza. Sa ating esteemed keynote speaker for today, kilala nating lahat, produkto natin, mamaya he will be introduced to us. Sa ating mga deans, chairpersons of the colleges, directors and program heads of the different campuses, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. It is my great honor to welcome you all to the Government Industry Academy Summit 2025, Year 3. Today we gather at a critical intersection where our collective expertise and experiences can shape the future of our learners. Collaboration among government, industry, and academe is not merely beneficial, it is essential. Each sector brings unique strengths. Government provides policy direction, industry drives innovation, and academe nurtures talents. When we align these strengths, the possibilities for producing industry-ready and globally competitive human capital become limitless. Our shared goal is to build the future-ready workforce that thrives in an increasingly complex, technology-driven, and globally interconnected world. Through partnerships that integrate education with real-world industry demands and supportive, forward-thinking governance, we can create sustainable career opportunities for all our scholar ng bayan. This summit is a platform for open dialogue, mutual learnings, and co-creation, an avenue when theory meets practice. Together, we can design curricula responsive to the evolving market needs, foster research and development aligned with national priorities, and create policies that empower rather than constrain. Let this year's summit deepen our ties and broaden our vision. Let us embrace the spirit of shared responsibility and collective action. By working together, government, industry, and academe can accelerate the transformation of ideas into impactful solutions to uplift our students and secure their competitive edge. On behalf of our University President, Dr. Manuel M. Muhi, and the entire PUP community, we sincerely express our gratitude for your commitment and presence. We look forward to a productive and fruitful collaboration. Maraming salamat po at magandang umaga.
Thank you very much, Professor Testor, for those inspiring and grounding words. Indeed, partnerships are strongest when all sectors stand side by side. At this time, to formally introduce our first keynote speaker, may we call on the Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs and Services, Engineer Florinda H. Oquindo.
Good morning, everyone. So our keynote speaker is a recognized leader in inclusive development with over 25 years of senior leadership experience in insurance and social innovation. As Executive Director of the Cebuana Luidier Foundation Incorporated, he champions award-winning programs that uplift marginalized and excluded sectors through access, empowerment, and resilience. Under his term, CLFI has been recognized with 2023 CSR Leadership Award in the World CSR Awards, and 2023 Social Responsibility Award by the Investors in People PH Awards. He has led the nationwide rollout of inclusive education initiatives, such as the Alternative Learning System, support for out-of-school youth and adults, and the National Literacy Award, Gawad Sinang Awards, a national literacy recognition program that honors trailblazing efforts and financial literacy and inclusion in partnership with the Department of Education. His leadership in disaster resiliency birthed the Barangay Resilience Exchange and the Disaster Resilience Forum, a knowledge-sharing platform equipping vulnerable communities to better prepare for natural calamities. He also revived the global search for the happiest Pinoy, a multi-awarded values-based campaign celebrating Filipinos' resilience, optimism, and inspiration across various sectors, from farmers and teachers to senior citizens and PWDs. As first Vice President of Cebuana Luwilier Insurance Brokers Incorporated, he pioneered one of the country's most successful microinsurance models, protecting over 10 million low-income Filipinos, enabling the Philippines as a global inclusive insurance powerhouse. During his stint, CLIB was recognized as the 2022 Insurance Broker of the Year and 2022 InsurTech Initiative of the Year at the Insurance Asia Awards. A sought-after international speaker and president of Microinsurance Intermediaries and Practitioners Association of the Philippines, all his work continues to drive inclusion and empowerment, ensuring no Filipino is left behind. With that, let us all welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Jonathan D. Batangan.
Ma'am Flor Oquindo, various school officials, ladies and gentlemen, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. 30 years ago, when I was still look young at meron pa pong buhok sa bumbunan, I walked through the gates of PUP not knowing that this university, this people's university, this sanctuary for dreamers, doers, and fighters would never leave my soul. I arrived with nothing fancy, no privilege, no connection, just a prom D student from Isabela with an old pair of jeans, a notebook filled with ideas, and a megaphone that became my first instrument of leadership. I became the president of the Central Student Council, not because I was the loudest nor smartest, but because PUP taught me that true leadership begins when you amplify the voices of those who can speak for themselves. I learned early that education is not just about mastery, it is about moral courage. Back then, my megaphone was my weapon against injustices on campus, against systems that forward or favored the privileged, against indifference toward the ordinary people. But the megaphone also taught me something deeper. The loudest voices are not always the ones shouting. Sometimes they are the ones quietly choosing what is right. And now, 3 decades later, after serving as AVP of Malayan, FVP of Cebuana Luwilier, and today as the Executive Director of Cebuana Luwilier Foundation, and by the way, before the year ends, I will have my early retirement from Cebuana Luwilier. I stand before you with the same heart, the same fire, the same mission to love the Filipino, to serve the Filipino, to lift the Filipino up. The titles changed, the offices changed, but the mission, ang pagmamahal sa ordinaryong Pilipino, never did. The megaphone of my youth became the microphone of my adulthood. But its message did not grow quieter. It grew larger. It expanded from fighting for PUPians to fighting for the nation's most vulnerable. At Cebuana Llewellyn Foundation, I witnessed something extraordinary. Inclusion is not a theory, it is a lifeline. Resilience is not a strategy, it is a duty. And every single day, I saw what government, industry, and academe can do when they stop competing and start collaborating. Let me share 3 living proofs. But please watch this AVP of Cebuana Llewellyn Foundation for our context.
In the Philippines, where many dreams are unfulfilled due to the lack of resources and opportunities, we want to create change through inclusion. We support inclusivity by providing equal access to opportunities and resources to everyone, including the marginalized and vulnerable sectors.
Kasali ba ako sa ikot ng mundo? Nakikita, narinig, may halaga pa ako. Ang aking mga pangarap ay mayroon bang saysay? Tulad ng iba, may nagmamahal ng tunay. May puwang mahina't nakalimutan sa isang bukas na may pag-asa't kasaganahan. Ang aking mga pangarap ay mayroon bang saysay? Tulad ng iba, may nagmamahal ng tunay.
I can't stress enough the power of knowledge and education in uplifting lives. Education should not favor the privileged few. Through our scholarships and the support we give the alternative learning system of the Department of Education, we help create livelihood opportunities for out-of-school youth and adults.
Ikaw ay sapat, ika'y mahalaga, ikaw ay karapat-dapat sa pagkakataon, biyaya't pagpapala. Ikaw ay sapat, ika'y mahalaga, ikaw ay kahanga-hanga. Minamahal, minamahal kita.
Hangad ng Cebuana Llewellyn Foundation na may isulong ang financial inclusion sa pamamagitan ng scholarship grants at pagsuporta sa alternative learning ng Department of Education. Sa ngayon, nagbibigay kami ng direktang tulong sa mga piling komunidad na magkaroon ng mas mataas na kamalayan sa wastong paghawak ng pananalapi at pagkakaroon ng direct access sa mga financial services.
Through our disaster resilience programs, we are creating a shield of strength for all during calamities and emergencies, proving that unity conquers adversity. We are unlocking doors to empowerment, erasing barriers that exclude.
Huwag kang mangamba, narito ako'y sasamahan ka sa paglalakbay mo, sa pag-abot ng iyong pangarap. Ika'y aking gabay, magkasama natin abutin ang tagumpay.
The video, which was actually shown a while ago, serves as a proof for GIA collaboration. And I should say proofs for GIA collaboration. The first proof is our alternative learning system. We partnered with the Department of Education's ALS, with LGUs, NGOs, community leaders to build over 200 community learning centers. Nakarating na po kami magmula Batanes hanggang Tawi-Tawi, nakita nyo kanina hanggang Pag-asa Island, enrolling over 50,000 learners. Tomorrow, pupunta po kami ng Dinagat Islands, nandun daw ang bagyo ngayon. So sana mawala ang bagyo. At a week after, we will also be in Polillo Islands. You would see that Cebuana Luwilers ALS centers are located in the most remote islands of the Philippines. We met an ALS teacher who was once an ALS learner. Today, she teaches her students with much passion, often spending her own salary just so she can provide snacks to his learners, if only to motivate them to pursue ALS, even to the point of going to the rice field so he can teach his ALS learners. Indeed, education does not just open minds, it rebuilds broken spirits. And that is what partnership looks like. The second GIA collaboration is our disaster resilience initiatives with DILG, DOST, MMDA, FIVOX, Office of Civil Defense, and DRMMC. When the storm hits, the first responders are not superheroes. They are ordinary people with extraordinary heart. That's why we train barangay leaders, LGUs, volunteers, frontline workers to build readiness long before disasters strike. Our last DR Forum online was attended by over 800,000 first responders nationwide. You may not know it, but the Philippines is currently ranked as the most disaster-prone country in the world for 4 straight years. Do you know that in the World Risk Index, the Philippines now is the most disaster-prone country, not because calamities do frequent us, but actually there are 20 calamities or typhoons that visit us on a year-on-year basis, but because of the Philippine vulnerability. Wala po tayong maayos na infrastruktura pagdating sa mga disasters na yan. Kaya tayo for 4 straight years ang number 1 disaster hotspot sa buong mundo. Ang katatagan ng bansa ay of course hindi naman nagmumula kung saan meron tayong infrastruktura, kundi ito ay nagsisimula sa local government unit sa barangay. And every barangay we work with, I saw what government, industry, and academe can do when they truly unite for the people. The third collaboration is promoting inclusive finance with the Insurance Commission, the Department of Finance, and other non-governmental organizations. We introduced microinsurance in the Philippines for the first time, not as products, but as rights. Makakapunta na po kayo sa Cebuana Luwilier at makakakuha ng microinsurance product sa halagang 50 pesos. At nakapagbayad na po kami ng humigit kumulang na 800 million pesos sa humigit kumulang na 1 milyong Pilipinong na aksidente, namatay o kung anuman ang nangyari sa kanila. We co-developed the microinsurance regulatory framework with the Insurance Commission with various stakeholders which now enable to protect over 10 million Filipinos and brought on to promote other countries in Asia, Europe, North and South America, including the Caribbean, teaching the gospel of social protection, enabling the Philippines to be the world's microinsurance leader with over 50 million Filipinos covered by microinsurance. Inclusion is not only charity, it is justice. And justice is never complete without empathy, and empathy organized is what we call nation building. But let me be honest, despite our collective efforts, the Philippines faces 5 urgent realities that demand a united GIA response. First reality, literacy is not enough. The Philippine Statistics Authority say 93.1% of Filipinos can read and write, but only 71% can truly understand what they read. 3 out of 10 Filipinos still struggle to grasp contracts, instructions, fallacies, disinformation. Kung hindi nila maiintindihan, hindi sila makakabangon. The second reality, poverty persists and it still has a face. 17 million Filipinos remain poor. Behind every member is a story, and behind every percentage, there is a family. The third reality, we live on the climate front lines. World Risk Index 2025, Philippines is now the most disaster-prone country. And in Climate Risk Index, the Philippines is number 10 most affected by extreme weather. Climate change is not a theory for the fisherman who lost his bangka, the farmer who lost his crops, the student whose school was washed away, or an ordinary Filipino who lost a loved one due to storm surge or landslide or earthquake. Reality number 4, trust is fragile. Corruption steals not only money, it steals the nation's courage to hope, one flood control project at a time. In the Philippines, some drainage and flood control projects are so invincible that only proof that they existed is the ribbon-cutting photo on Facebook. And every time EDSA, Spanya, or Taft, or your own barangay turns into a floating trash and dirt, you can almost hear corruption whisper, "Baha pa more." When the rain falls, it's not just water rising, it's frustration as people wade through knee-deep floods and waist-deep corruption. If we really want a safer future, we have to stop normalizing buti pa ang kalsada, may baha, and start demanding a government where the only thing that overflows is integrity and not kickbacks. Reality number 5, AI will reshape the workforce faster than our systems can adapt. The question is no longer, will AI change us? But can we shape AI so that it doesn't replace one or Juana, but it raises them up? Because let's be honest, AI is already here. From the algorithm that chooses your next TikTok video to the chatbot that answers faster than some government hotlines, the real issue is whether AI will just make rich companies richer or actually help the taho vendor, the jeepney driver, the OFW family, and the sari-sari store owner live better, safer, and smarter lives. Imagine AI that helps farmers predict the weather, helps students to learn even without a tutor, and helps ordinary workers find better jobs instead of just better filters. That's the kind of future we should be noisy about, not man versus machine, but both working together so that no Juan or Juana gets left behind. So, why is PUP uniquely positioned to lead? In JobStreet survey, PUP is the #1 most preferred school by Philippine employers. In Cebuana, Luwilier alone, we have quite a number of PUP graduates, and yours truly, having been in Cebuana, Luwilier for more than 20 years, is no exception. And with only 24% selecting PUP of all these employees as their top talent source, malaki po ang porsyento ng naniniwala na ang graduates ng PUP ay may malasakit, may pagmapahalaga, kaya sila po ay ang gustong-gusto ng mga employers natin. Because PUPians bring competence, character, compassion, and courage in the corporate world. Hindi lang tayo magaling, mas maaasahan tayo. Hindi lang tayo matino, mas matapang tayong maging matino. Hindi lang tayo may laban, tayo ang laban ng bayan. This is why the GIA Summit matters. This is why PUP must lead, because when a nation needs conscience, PUP always shows up. Tayo ang konsensya ng bayan. tayo ang konsensya ng sambayanan. And so, sa ating pagmamahal, sa ating sintang paaralan, having faced the realities of our nation head-on, let us now turn toward the road forward. A road that PUP, together with government and industry, is uniquely positioned to lead. And I'd like to share 5 torches of transformation, 5 pathways to better lead the Philippines, all powered by PUP. Each thrust is not just a strategy, it is a statement of who we can become when the 3 pillars of progress, G, I, A, walk not separately but shoulder to shoulder. First, AI for all. People-centered AI and digital ethics. AI will define the next decade. But the question is, can AI be designed not just to think, but to care? What are the lead PUP units that can actually be able to implement this? We have, of course, College of Computer and Information Sciences, Institute for Science and Technology Research, Center for Data Science and Advanced Analytics, the PUP Open University System, the PUP Graduate School, among others. What are these flagship programs? AI for All Literacy Program, AI Ethics and Accountability Lab, AI for Barangay Toolkit, AI for MSME Growth Academy. An outcome? A Philippines where AI lifts everyone, not just those who can afford it. Second pillar, green justice and resilience innovation. We live in a country where a single storm can erase an entire town, if not entire provinces. But storms can also reveal one thing. Resiliency is built from the ground up. What are the lead PUP units? College of Engineering, College of Science, particularly the Environmental Science, Institute of Climate Action and Sustainability, Community Relations Office, even PUP Laboratory School. The government agencies involved, we have DOST, PAGASA, FIVOX, DILG, DNNR. What are the flagship programs? PUP Resilience Innovation Hub, Youth Climate Fellowship, Barangay Resilience Scorecard in partnership with Cebuana Luwilier, Tech for Resilience Challenge. What is the outcome? Communities that move from risk to readiness, from fear to foresight, from vulnerability to victory. Third, ethical governance and civic innovation. In a nation drowning in scandals, shortcuts, and systemic, if not endemic, corruption, there is one institution consistently called to be the conscience of the Philippines. And that, ladies and gentlemen, of course, is PUP. While others boast about prestige, PUP carries for a heavier responsibility, reminding the country that integrity is not optional. In a place where headlines read like plot twists from a teleserye, PUP stands as a stubborn, brilliant hero who refuses to sell out. Its students question loudly, think critically, and protest passionately, often with more conviction than entire agencies combined. Because when the nation loses its moral compass, it is PUP that it is its soul and conscience. Kaluluwa at konsensya must insist on pointing us back to the true north. What are the lead PUP units? College of Political Science and Public Administration, College of Law, Center for Human Rights and Democracy, Public Governance, and my proposed PUP Integrity and Accountability Office. What can be the flagship programs? PUP Open Governance and Integrity Lab, National Youth Integrity Corps, Transparency Tech Hackathon, or Bawalang Palusot Ethics Training. Outcome? A generation of PUPians who don't just fill positions, they fix systems. They don't just follow rules, they rewrite norms. Fourth, future of work and human flourishing, particularly those who are in the HR field. The future belongs not to the most educated, but to the most adaptable. Because in a world where apps update weekly and jobs change faster than government slogans, your fifth diploma matters less than your ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn. The employee who can shift from Excel to AI tools, from office work to remote work, from one skill to another, that's the one who will thrive. Even the jeepney driver learning e-wallets or the tindera going live selling online is already more future-ready than someone who refuses to change because ganito na kami noon pa. In the end, it's not the length of resume that will save learners, but the flexibility of mindset. So what are the lead PUP units for this program? Open University System, Institute for Continuing Professional Development, College of Education, College of Human Kinetics. Flagship programs, PUP Lifelong Learning Academy, GIA, Micro-Credential Passport, Workplace Well-Being Blueprint, Human Flourishing Index. And the outcome, Filipinos who are not just ready to work, but ready to thrive. And last but not the least, inclusive prosperity and financial empowerment. Finance for the people. Progress that excludes is not progress. Growth that leaves the poor behind is not growth. It is abandonment dressed up. When the GDP goes up, but the palenque vendor still cannot afford decent health care, that's not development. That's a disconnect. One can build more highways, skyways, and smart cities, but if the tricycle driver, the factory worker, and the sari-sari store owner are stuck in the same struggle, the country is just moving faster in place. But real progress is when every Juan and Juana feels the change, not in speeches, but in their lives. Who or what could be the lead PUP units for this initiative? College of Accountancy and Finance, College of Business Administration, Cooperative Development Office, Extension Services Office, Student Affairs and Services, particularly FinLit Program, VP Tom Testor. What are the flagship programs? National Financial Literacy Academy. This can be in partnership with Cebuana Luwelier. Student Cooperative Incubator, Micro Enterprise Launchpad, Community Banking Leadership Program. And what's the outcome? A nation where every Filipino can save, plan, build, and prosper, regardless of income or origin. These fellow PUPians are not just programs, not slogans. These are systems. These are solutions. These are nation-shaping pathways that only a university rooted in the masses and respected by employers can lead with both excellence and conscience. And to guide these 5 thrusts, we return to the heart of who we are. PUP as the compass of a new Philippines. PUP, not just Polytechnic University of the Philippines, but PUP with P as People First Innovation, U, uncompromising integrity, and P, partnership for nation building. The first P, People First Innovation. Innovation begins with empathy, with meeting the needs of the least, not just the margin of profit. U, uncompromising integrity. In a time of normalized shortcuts and kickbacks, PUPians must be the ones to say, hindi pwede ang pwede na. And the last P, partnership for nation building, government, industry, and academe, not as islands, but as an archipelago of purpose. These PUP, People First Innovation, uncompromising integrity, partnership for nation building, is strong. And when it is strong, the nation stands. When PUP is principled, the nation rises. And with this PUP is courageous, the nation transforms. But before I close, mahihingin po ako sa inyong lahat isang bagay na napakahalaga pero bihirang-bihira nating mararanasan. Katahimikan. Katahimikan para palakasin ang ating konsyensya. Silence for conscience. In a nation drowning in systemic, if not endemic corruption, disinformation, noise, scandals, shortcuts, and kickbacks, the voice we have lost is the most important one, ang boses ng konsyensya. So today, in front of government, industry, and academe, I ask for a moment of silence. Not for me, not for this event, but for the Filipino who suffered because someone in power, corrupted, chose personal benefit and selfishness over integrity. For the Filipino who was denied an opportunity because someone abused authority. For the Filipino who keeps hoping even when the system disappoints them again and again. And for every Filipino who quietly, consistently, still refuses to betray what is right. Let us honor them with collective silence. Let us also enter a moment of silence to ask ourselves one question. Ano ang gagawin ko kapag kaharap ko na ang tukso ng korupsyon? Ano ang gagawin ko kapag kaharap ko na ang tukso ng korupsyon? If you heard even the faintest whisper inside you, that is your strength. That is your compass. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your conscience. That is the PUP in you. 30 years ago, I held a megaphone to protest injustice. Today, I'm actually holding a microphone to proclaim something deeper. The future of the Philippines will not be saved by intelligence or innovation, but by integrity. People-first innovation, uncompromising integrity, partnership for nation building. Ito ang PUP. Ito ang konsyensya ng ating bayan. And as long as there is one PUPian who chooses what is right, there is still hope. May pag-asa pa po ang Pilipinas. Maraming salamat. Mabuhay ang PUP, mabuhay ang tunay na GIA collaboration, mabuhay ang sambayanang Pilipino.
Thank you very much, Mr. Batangan, for that eye-opening and inspiring message. At this point, may we now call on Professor Tomas O. Testor, the Vice President for Student Affairs and Services, Assistant to the Vice President for Student Affairs and Services, Engineer Florinda Oquindo, and the Chief for Alumni Relations Services, Dr. Emmy Abayan Perez, for the awarding of the Certificate of Appreciation. Allow me to read the citation. This certificate of recognition is hereby given to, in grateful recognition of his invaluable contribution as keynote speaker for the 2025 Government Academe Industry Summit Year 3. given this 25th of November 2025 at Bulwagang Balagtas, Ninoy Aquino Library and Learning Resource Center, Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Santa Mesa, Manila, signed by Dr. Manuel M. Muhi, University President. This certificate of recognition is hereby given to Mr. Jonathan Batangan. Once again, thank you very much, Mr. Jonathan Batangan. Now, before we begin with our second plenary session, may we call on the Chief of Alumni Relations Services, Dr. Emmy Abayan Perez, to introduce our next plenary speaker.
So, good morning, everyone. Our next speaker is a distinguished leader whose career beautifully bridges the worlds of education, commerce, and governance, the very pillars of this summit. She is an accomplished entrepreneur, chief financial officer, and educator with more than 25 years of progressive leadership in finance, strategic management, and business development. She currently serves as the chairwoman of Brookfield College, a CHED accredited higher education institution in Cavite, where she also mentors students and professionals as a professor and lecturer in accounting, finance, and strategic management. As a finance executive, she has held senior leadership roles in top organizations such as the PNB Holdings Corporation of the Lucio Tan Group of Companies, Prime Asset Ventures Incorporated, and Brittany Hotels of the Villar Group, and Alcorn Gold Resources of Lucio Company Group of Companies, same owner of Pure Gold. Guiding companies across industries including real estate, utilities, infrastructure, oil and mining, fintech, and hospitality. Her first career was in PricewaterhouseCoopers, one of the Big Four auditing firms in the world. She is also the founder and CEO of Synergy Financial Consultancy Services and co-founder of Verde Legado Agri Ventures Incorporated, which champions sustainable agribusiness and environmental stewardship. In recognition of her contributions to the finance industry, she was honored as one of the top 10 CFOs in the Philippines by CEO Insights Asia in 2023. Her insights have been shared in major international and local conferences such as the Digital CFO Summit in Bangkok, the Future CFO Conference at Shangri-La Makati, FinTech Summit 2025 in Manila, and others. Today, she joins us to share her expertise and vision on bridging industry, education, and governance towards sustainable national development. So please join us in giving a warm welcome to Ms. Marinol B. Zamora, CPA, MBA, JD. Good morning, ma'am.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. VP Torres Testor, VP for Student Affairs and Services, Engineer Florida H. Oquinado, ARCDO Director, Deans, Directors, Distinguished Leaders, Mr. Jonathan Batangan, Industry Executives, fellow educators, and our future professionals from the academe. It is an honor to join you today for this Government, Industry, and Academe Summit organized by PUP Alumni Relations and Center Development Center. Mahirap yatang sundan si Mr. Jonathan Batangan.
Mga college pa kami yung 30 years ago. Siya po yung nauna sa akin sa Student Council, for your information po. So magkakasama kami sa Student Council nung araw. When I was invited to speak before you, I was asked to choose a topic that reflects a real and urgent concern in the Philippine business landscape. And I choose the CPA deficit, risk, realities, and remedies for Philippine businesses. Not only because this is my professional driven and that I earned this from my Sintang Paaralan PUP, but also each and every industry is affected by this issue. Before I go deep to my topic, let me show you some business news headlines in the past. First is the Enron in a USA company in 2001. Okay. It filed bankruptcy as one of the largest US corporations. It collapsed the Arthur Andersen, one of the top global auditing firm, or part of the Big Four. We call that Big Four. And it passaged the SOX, or the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, to strengthen corporate governance. What is the cause of the bankruptcy? Off-balance sheet entities used to hide massive debts. Another story was the WorldCom in 2002. WorldCom is once the second largest long-distance telecommunications company in US. It collapsed in 2002 after one of the largest accounting frauds in history, which was exceeded only by Enron. There was a massive accounting fraud uncovered, and the company declared bankruptcy. Executives were imprisoned. What was the cost? There was artificial inflation of profits by over $11 billion. What was the key lesson? Simple misclassifications can create multi-billion peso distortions. Another story, another headline was in 2008 by Lehman Brothers. Lehman Brothers was one of the most respected financial institutions in the world before its catastrophic failure. The company collapse is considered the largest bankruptcy in US history and the major trigger of the 2008 global financial crisis, which we felt here also in the Philippines. These cases are not only seen in an international scene, but also in domestic cases. What is the key lesson here? Financial reporting failures can trigger a global economic meltdown. So how are these related to our topic today? Even though most of these are rooted in fraud, ethical lapses, governance failures, and pressure from management, they still prove the main point. When financial reporting is weak or unreliable, the entire companies, even the entire economies can collapse. Strong accounting talent is essential to prevent these disasters. Because whether we are in government, industry, or education, we are all already feeling the impact of the growing shortage of certified public accountants in the Philippines. This issue affects financial reporting integrity, corporate governance, compliance, investor trust, and ultimately, the business resilience. Next slide, please. Today, I want to walk you through on the following objectives. What the CPA deficit actually looks like today, why it is happening, how it affects Philippine businesses, big and small. What we do collectively under the GIA Summit to solve it. Next slide, please. The CPA deficit, understanding the numbers. Let's begin with the reality. Next slide, please. First is the declining passing rate. The CPA licensure examination passing rate peaked around 2015-2016, above 40%, but has since declined significantly. By 2019, it dropped to as low as 14%. There was a slight recovery after 2021, but as of May to October 2025, the rate is still only 33 to 34%, well below the 2015-2016 levels. But the good news is that PUP graduate students, we have a passing rate of above the national passing rate. I think in last May board exam, we got 66%, which is double of the national passing rate. So that is a very big good news for PUP. Nonetheless, this decline highlights increasing difficulty or maybe lack of preparedness among the examinees. This raises questions about the capacity of the educational pipeline to produce more CPAs. Using accounting graduates as basis for over a decade now, the CPA licensure examination, or CPA-LE, passing rate has hovered between 11 to 15% on average. In above cycles, it drops to less than 10%, meaning out of 100 accountancy graduates, only 10 to 15 become CPAs. The consistent decline in the CPA-LE passing rates over the last decade signals a deeper systematic issues that goes beyond the difficulty of the exam itself. While the CPA board exam is intentionally rigorous to uphold the integrity of the profession, the sustained drop suggests that a growing number of examinees are entering the exam, maybe underprepared or under-supported. And what are the factors? First could be the limited real-world application. Many students graduate having learned concepts, theories, principles, but without enough exposure to real audit cases, financial reporting systems, or actual business transactions. This disconnect makes it difficult for graduates to transition from textbook understanding to professional problem solving. The second factor could be the review system alone cannot fix learning gaps. Review centers are designed to reinforce and polish knowledge, not rebuild what should have been learned over 4 years. And the third factor will be the growing competency gap versus industry expectations. As businesses adopt automation, AI-based accounting tools, and digital audit platforms, the competencies expected from new CPAs are much higher. If accounting programs fail to integrate these tools, graduates may be mismatched with the actual exam difficulty and industry reality. Let's go now to the enrollment. Shrinking enrollment in accountancy programs. CHED data and reports from the schools nationwide show that accountancy enrollment has been decreasing sharply, especially after the K-12 implementation, and further accelerated by the pandemic. From 2019 to 2023, enrollment declined by 41%, and the retention completion rate is only 14%. 14% of students who enrolled in 2015 to 2017 completed the BS Accountancy program. What are the reasons why enrollment in accountancy is shrinking? First, there is a perceived difficulty in law passing rates, which is no longer perceived but a reality. There is a high academic load, mental health pressures, misalignment with student expectations. For the mental health pressures, the younger generations is far more conscious about mental health, work-life balance, and emotional well-being. The accountancy culture is in many schools, high-pressure environments, marathon exams, consecutive deadlines, and competitive grading can intensify stress, anxiety, and burnout. In a post-pandemic era where students prioritize stability and mental wellness, many avoid programs associated with intense academic pressure. This makes accountancy less appealing even to students who have the aptitude for it. The fourth one is the misalignment with student expectations. Many incoming freshmen choose accountancy because they believe it leads to high-paying jobs, corporate prestige, flexible international opportunities. While these are true, students often discover a misalignment between expectations and reality. Many students who want immediate employment or faster income may opt for programs with shorter or less competitive pathways. In my experience for 30 years in corporate world, I always give premium or higher rate to any applicant who are accountancy graduates because I understand their predicament and the difficulty of obtaining such degree. The third reason for the CPA deficit is the growing demand for CPAs. Demand has surged for CPAs in banking and finance, corporations, BPOs and shared services centers, auditing firms, government agencies, NGOs, and cooperatives. With digital transformation, accounting functions are expanding. Risk management, data analytics, cybersecurity oversight. This makes CPA even more needed than before. However, there is a growing gap between the supply and the demand. We are seeing now a structural mismatch. Demand is rising, supply is shrinking. This is the CPA deficit, and it is already affecting operations across industries. Let's go now to the risk brought by the CPA deficit. The shortage of CPAs is not merely an HR issue. It is an organizational risk with financial, regulatory, and reputational consequences. Let's look at the top risks. First is the weakened financial reporting and internal controls. Even in government, with all those corruptions, we can see those weakened financial reporting. When companies cannot hire enough qualified accountants, financial closing becomes delayed, errors increase, internal controls become weak, and fraud risks rise. Non-CPAs may be competent, but regulatory and audit responsibilities require specific expertise that only CPAs can sign off. The second risk is the regulatory compliance gaps. Government agencies require timely and accurate reporting. Shortage of CPAs leads to late filings, penalties, audit findings, even suspensions of operations in severe cases. The third risk is operational disruptions. In banks and large corporations, CPA shortages cause overworked teams, high turnover, delays in decision-making, system inefficiencies. One resignation can delay an entire financial cycle. And the fourth risk is limited talent pipeline for leadership roles. Many key positions require CPAs. These are CFOs, financial controller, chief audit executive, risk and compliance heads, audit managers, and partners. Without new CPAs entering the pipeline, we risk a leadership vacuum in the next 5 to 10 years. And the fifth risk is the impact on MSMEs, or the small and medium enterprise. Small businesses struggle the most. This leads to errors in tax reporting, incorrect accounting practices, problems with bank financing due to poor financial statements. And finally, the risk on impact on national competitiveness. Foreign investors look at quality of financial reporting, talent availability, and reliability of audits. A CPA shortage erodes business confidence and shows a slow investment. Now, what are the realities behind the CPA deficit, or the root causes? Again, the CPA licensure examination gap, the economic factors. Students see BPO jobs offering competitive salaries without a board license. Heavy family financial burdens. Long study periods without guaranteed success. The result, they shift to other business programs. We also have faculty shortages. Schools also struggle because licensed CPAs prefer industry salaries. CPA faculty supply is also shrinking. Teaching load and preparation are heavy. This affects quality of instruction. And the fifth is the migration of global demand. Filipino accountants are internationally competitive. Many move to Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Middle East, Singapore. This further worsens local supply. So what should we do? What are the remedies that we can do? Let's now focus on solutions. The short-term remedies for businesses is first, upskilling non-CPAs. We may not be able to produce CPAs overnight, but we can strengthen the talent we already have. Because CPA passers remain limited, businesses can maximize existing talent by upskilling accounting graduates and finance staff who have not yet passed the CPA licensure examination. How this helps? Reduces the dependency on a very small pool of licensed CPAs, ensures continuity in operations, documentation, monthly closings, and compliance, builds internal capability even without adding headcount. This expands your finance middle layer. The analysts, accountants, and supervisors who support the CPA in charge. In a CPA deficit era, competent non-CPAs become the backbone of your finance function. Second remedy would be the support on the CPA exam. Companies should provide review leaves for their staff. Provide them with a study area so that even during their lunch break, they can do some studies. Offer scholarships or subsidies. Partner with review centers. And give retention bonuses for CPA passers. It is more costly to rehire talents than keep them. Third is improve retention. Address burnout by reducing overtime, automate on repetitive tasks, or invest in ERP, or what we call the enterprise resource planning. Expand your teams. Recognize professional achievements. A CPA who feels valued will stay. And finally, strengthen the audit and compliance structures. You can outsource temporarily, but build a long-term internal capability. This is where this GIA framework becomes powerful. The remedies and what the government, industry, and academe must do together. First is curriculum modernization. Integrate data analytics. As mentioned by earlier speaker, Mr. Batangan, AI is also very important nowadays. Invest in digital accounting tools. Strengthen practical training and internships. Second is review CPA examination. Ask for an open dialogue among PRC representatives, CHED representatives, PICPA representatives, and the academe. Let us revisit the exam frequency. Currently, we only have 2 times a year examination. That is every May and every October. Revisit also the exam scope. Should it be like a ladderized or on a level or like on a bar exam where the examination covers 1 month? Revisit also competency-based frameworks, theories and principles versus the practical questions. The examinees and the examiners should at least meet halfway. The goal is to maintain rigor while improving relevance. Third is expand industry academe partnerships. Internships are meaningful, not just clerical tasks. Expose the students to ERP systems. Expose them to tax compliance, internal auditing, and financial analysis. Not simply ask them to do some Xerox functions. Fourth, promote alternative accounting careers. Not all accounting graduates must pursue CPA, but they must still have rewarding career paths. If we can promote the 3 other accounting programs not needing licensure examination, and these are the management accounting, internal auditing, and accounting information systems, and change our perception on CPAs, then there will no longer be clamors for more CPAs. Also, graduates of non-board programs can take the international certifications, which are becoming more popular nowadays. The Certified Management Accountant, Chartered Financial Analyst or CFA, Chartered Accountant, CA, and so on and so forth. However, this might be expensive for the students. The average cost for each exam is around $1,000 to $2,000. And for the complete examination, it's around $4,000 to $5,000. Fifth, strengthen provincial and regional programs. I should commend PUP for this, for their open university. These give more resources to schools outside Metro Manila. This is where the biggest decline in enrollment in accountancy is happening. And finally, encourage our Filipino CPAs abroad to do some mentoring. They can do teaching part-time online, mentoring, and consulting. Now, the call to action. The CPA deficit is not just an academic issue. It is not just an HR issue. It is not just a board examination issue. It is a national competitiveness issue. And today's summit, GIA or Government Industry Academe, reminds us that no single sector can solve this alone. Government must modernize regulatory and educational frameworks. Academe must evolve programs and partnerships. Industry must support talent development, retention, and professional growth. Together, we can ensure that Philippines continues to produce a world-class accountant, professionals who uphold integrity, competence, and excellence. Let me end with this. The CPA profession has always been a cornerstone of trust in business. As we face a declining supply of CPAs, we are also given the opportunity to reimagine accounting education, practice, and innovation. With collaboration, compassion, and commitment, we can turn this crisis into a catalyst, not just to solve the CPA deficit, but to elevate the entire accounting profession for the next generation. Maraming salamat po, and I look forward for working with all of you toward this shared mission.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zamora, for that very insightful session. At this point, we now open the floor for questions. If you would like to ask, you may proceed to the center aisle. We have a microphone ready po for those who want to ask their questions. Ayan, meron po ba tayong questions from our participants? Wala po silang tanong. Ayan. Okay, we will now proceed to the awarding of certificate. To present the certificate of appreciation, may we call once again Engineer Florinda Oquindo, together with Dean of College of Communication, Dean Joey Alagaran, and the Dean of the CTHTM, Dean Lisbeth Vergara, to present the certificate of recognition. Once again, let me read the citation. This certificate of recognition is hereby given to, in grateful recognition of her invaluable contribution as plenary speaker for the 2025 Government Academe Industry Summit Year 3. Given this 25th day of November 2025 at Bulwagang Balagtas, Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Santa Mesa, Manila, signed by Dr. Manuel M. Muhi, University President. This certificate of recognition is hereby given to Ms. Marinol B. Zamora. Once again, maraming salamat po, Ma'am Zamora. At this point, we will now have our lunch break. And we have prepared lunch for everyone. At this point, we respectfully request everyone to remain within the venue and not leave during the lunch break so we can smoothly transition into our afternoon session. We will reconvene at 1 p.m. for our afternoon program.